Where's my thing? It's Ty Billy and Dre Millie Billy.
Yeah,
Man, it's been a long time, brother. How you been?
I've been good. Where the hell you been? Let's just start off with that. Tell the
I
people
know,
where you've been. They deserve an explanation.
just the economy is different now, man. Took a step back from a few things. Needed to kind of recalibrate some stuff and
Okay.
relaunch, and so now we're relaunching
Okay.
because the streets need the content, the internet needs the content,
Hood needs it.
and we back, man.
Woo, woo. All right. So the economy changed, and what happened in your life?
Um, man, I don't know. I had a lot of people kind of like questioning a lot of things, and so I think it caused some self doubt in myself. Like, man, like I did all this stuff for the culture, and now the culture's attacking me,
Okay.
and the culture is kind of like hating on me and like painting a narrative, and it was kind of disappointing. It was kind of frustrating,
That's real.
um, and it kind of made me take a step back.
Okay.
Um, and so I think that was a part of it. Also, like a lot of people that I kind of helped and put on started to kind of um, go on without me, and so like that was kind of interesting. And so
Okay.
like I'm like now I'm kind of realizing like personal brands are cool, but a brand in general is really what you want. Like I want something that exists
Outside of you.
that adds value outside of me,
Mhm.
because if you and we see it all the time. We see it in the media. We see people who once they become successful, that's when they start attacking them. That's when they start throwing stuff at them. That's when they start kind of come at them. And 50 Cent said something. He's like, we all pray for success and wealth and abundance, but we don't pray for the haters and the attacks that come with it. But that stuff is inevitable. One of the most hated people is LeBron James, just because he's great. Like he has people who hate on him, who create whole shows bashing them, and all he's done is dope shit. All he's done is just take care of his kids, love his wife, put his homeboys on, and he still gets hate. I think one of the things that I noticed though that was kind of frustrating is like, um, and I forgot what the point I was gonna make following that, but I guess like you don't expect it. You don't expect it.
That's fair.
It doesn't really come until you really hit that pinnacle, and that's when it really starts to kind of fall on you.
That's fair. That's real life. Real talk. Real talk. I saw people made videos about how EYL fell off. This was, and they released the videos after InvestFest where there was 20, 30,000 people there. They were talking about their YouTube views. I'm like, if having 20 to 30,000 people at a 3-day event is falling off, give me the fall off. Give me the fall off. And I bring that up just to say people are going to do it no matter what you do. Literally, top 5, top 10 largest business conference in the world, like literally, not even black one. It's definitely the biggest black one. It's bigger than Afrotech. You just got to do what you do.
And two things. One is like they're cool people. Like anytime I've ever run into any of them, they're just like super cool people.
Yeah, don't go. Yeah,
Like they're not over here like, yeah, this is me and blah blah blah.
nah, don't go, bro.
But the other thing that I admire about what they do is they take the criticism and they improve.
They do.
And so like I think that's what's really important about like a lot of this stuff. Like the people who are criticizing you, and a lot of times they're right. So, like, what do you do about that? You like say for example, like I remember when I first launched the course, people were
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, like you have a book in here that you're adding value to people, but it's like it's not your book." And so I wrote a book. They're like, "Oh, this is cool, but it's only one video in the whole thing, so I add more videos to the thing."
Mm-hmm.
Like criticism is valid. Hate,
Hate's different.
that's different. That's different. But like,
Hate's different.
so people come online and like, oh man, we didn't have the opportunity to get as much information and knowledge as we did at InvestFest as we wanted. And so this year they had a whole bunch of information-driven sessions where you can learn
Yeah.
about NAC, you can learn about home buyers, you can learn about the stock market, all those different things. And so like I think that's dope and that's business. I think entrepreneurs respect entrepreneurs and they see them and they love on it. And like this is cool. Like this is what we need. Like I support EYL like in general because their message and their drive is what I wanted to do in the first place. I don't care who does it. I don't care who's the biggest. I just care it's getting done because that was the whole goal in the first place.
That's deep. That's deep. And yeah, they take criticism. So an angry customer or dissatisfied customer can be free consulting if you don't take it personal. Now, some people are extreme. So I think there are about 5 to 7% of customers who are just extreme, who you can't make happy. But in there, even if they give detailed feedback, it could be literally free consulting. So I sold one thing. One of the things I made $95,000 from it. And it's been around the $100 price point. Literally 5 or 6 people may have filed chargebacks, and everyone loves it. She said, I'm disappointed, yada, 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 yada. I felt it was over the top. But in there with her over the topness, I said, okay, let me fix this. Let me fix that. Cool. Hit her back with a refund and kept it pushing. So it's a weird balance between not taking it personal, but still seeing, is there some truth in there, even though this person is over the top and extreme?
I would say the cool thing about that too, though, is when you do take that criticism and you incorporate the new things into whatever you're doing, you tend to go even bigger.
Don't stop.
I mean, they think they're stopping it, but really they're just like lighting fire to the gasoline. They're like, here's how you do it better. Add this. So for example, I remember I was watching this thing, one of the EYL fall off YouTube videos, and he was like, man, they should have content on these different things that are going on, the politics and whatever, and they incorporated it immediately.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it's easy to sit around and criticize people who are doing things, man, and that's what most people do. It's very easy to do that. Like it's not difficult to find the problems in a potential solution. It's very difficult to create a solution and work through the problems. Most people are unwilling to do that, but it's way more lucrative on the other side.
Facts. Keep it pushing, man. That's the bottom line. How do you feel being back at work?
It's pros and cons, man. Like,
Okay.
I don't know if a lot of people know, but like I never technically passed the bar. And so like went to law school, didn't pass the bar, and studied for the bar, built a business because I didn't pass the bar. And so I was like, man, like I did all this work, I got to become successful still. And I learned all these good habits in law school. I still got to get it. And so I went back to the office and I ended up getting a provisional bar license. And so that provisional bar license allows me to appear in court, consult with clients, negotiate settlements, draft documents, sign documents, file documents, all that stuff. And through that process, the provisional license is a pathway to licensure. And so since I was in the firm, I was already in position to get everything I needed to get in order to get licensed. And so I had mentors, I had people who can sign off on docs, people who can supervise my work, all that stuff. And so I had to complete a certain amount of hours. I had to take a few more exams. I did all those things. I've gotten my hours, and now I've submitted all the paperwork, and it's just a 2 to 3 week process for me to actually be fully licensed in California.
Congrats.
So like that's why I say it's pros and cons. The pros are I'm stepping into being fully licensed, which will now allow me to open my own firm. The cons are being an employee.
Yeah.
Man, like having people determine how much you make, having people determine when you got to show up, all those different things are the reasons why I fought so hard to get out of
Promotions.
it. So like the exposure, I work in a massive firm, so I get an opportunity to do like a lot of things over and over and over again to get that experience. And so that's always cool. It's like there's no shortage of volume. So you get your experience, you get your knowledge by doing the reps. And then the goal is, and I really think this is important, is to really build my businesses off of my skill sets. So the first business was based off of my finance education and my finance work experience.
Yep.
The next business will be the law firm, which will be based on my legal education and my legal experience.
Okay.
But it's just setting me up to eventually have my own firm sooner rather than later.
Dope.
And that's where we're at.
Good for you, brother. Good for you, man. Congrats on the pivot.
But I feel like the interesting thing about it and what I tell or what I have to always remind myself is like successful people are successful. If you're successful in business, you're successful in entrepreneurship, you're successful on the job, you're successful in your professional career. Like it's a certain skill set, the grind, the hustle, the mentality, the willing to do what you got to do. Like there's a lot of things in the firm that I get asked to do and I don't want to do, but I do it anyway because there's a lot of power in just saying yes. More opportunities avail themselves to the person that says yes, as opposed to the person that's like, nah, I don't want to do that. I don't have the experience. I don't know. I've learned a lot by just doing things I didn't have the knowledge of doing until I did it. And then I did it and I did it and I did it and I did it. And so I always feel like, I mean, we're always going to find a way to win, period.
But shout out to you, brother. I give you credit. You are indeed a winner. Do you miss your education business, your online business at all?
So the thing is like a lot of people don't believe in this, but I believe in it. There's a book called 0 to 1. There's a book called Blue Ocean Theory. And I feel like I stepped into a blue ocean that became a red ocean. And I didn't like it. I didn't like that space. But my goal is to pivot into doing more kind of like, I wouldn't necessarily call it legal education. It's not going to be legal education. But I want to start creating content on law school, succeeding in law school, succeeding in passing the bar, being successful in the legal profession and career.
Okay.
And so, like, one thing about me is once a lot of people start doing what I'm doing, I just kind of get into a different space. And so I think that the business model works. The digital products are amazing. I just want to pivot from the space that I was in terms of that type of product into a new different product where I don't see it happening. I feel like there's a massive void in that area where there's people who are struggling with finding success in law school, struggling with finding success in passing the bar, especially in California.
That's deep.
So it's like if we can create an alternative path to help them understand these things, why not?
I think it's genius. So, a man, the lead attorney, he's one of the most successful YouTubers ever. Ever. Like he gets a few $1,000s an hour, some streams. Wow. He says. So yeah, smart move.
But I think it's kind of interesting because like a lot of what I created kind of like it took on the life of its own. And I was thinking about that today. I was like, man, like a lot of people took the options and paired it with day trading. Yeah. And then immersed themselves in day trading and learning day trading and started teaching day trading when that really wasn't what I was doing.
You were teaching long-term options?
Well, it was a combination of investing with options.
Investing without, okay.
So a lot of people don't invest in the stock market because they don't have a lot of money to invest in the stock market. And so we're making good investments, but they're just short-term investments. So we're not necessarily like looking at charts and looking at these random stocks you never heard of that just happen to have a good chart. We're still investing in quality companies with good fundamentals. We're just doing it with options, which gives us leverage, which now allows us to take that small money that you have and turn it into large money. So like a lot of people can't invest in a company like Amazon, Tesla, these companies, and with the $500 that they have, $500 you put in a Tesla, you gain 10%. That's great. You made $50. $500 in a Tesla option, still a great company. It goes up 10%, but you actually double your money because it's an option. And so that's kind of the thought. The thought was like pairing quality, value, strategic investing with the power of options, not necessarily day trading, even if it's a shorter term investment.
What's on my damn camera? Is $500 the amount you need to start, in your opinion, with trading options?
I think it's fair.
Fair, okay.
Yeah. But I think that you don't want to only have $500.
Gotcha.
And so it's like, I would like for you to have a good amount of money and invest that 500, if that makes sense.
What's a good amount of money to you?
Probably like 2,000. So have 2,000 to invest. Of that 2,000, invest 500.
I dig it. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like you don't want to feel like that is the play that has to work out for you, because, and I had this thought today recently, because I've been dealing with these properties in Detroit, and there's a property on Oakman, great property.
Oakman.
Great property. But then there's another property that's not so good of a property. There's a squatter in there. I'm about to send them a letter and get them kicked out. And I realized, I was like, a lot of times in investing in general, but more so specifically real estate investing, we expect home runs. We expect 100% success rate. And we just think like, oh, it's real estate. It always goes up. It never goes down. It always cash flows. It's perfect tenants, perfect situations. And so when people don't experience that, they're like, something wrong.
It fails.
Yeah.
Then they quit.
Yeah, and then they quit. But I feel like that's not the proper approach to take, even in real estate. Like in real estate, you got to diversify. You're going to have a home in this neighborhood, a home in that neighborhood, on this street, this block. Everything is different, especially in Detroit. They say everything in Detroit is block by block. So that means you might have some that blow up. This is the same thing with the stock market. Some stocks are going to blow up. Some stocks are going to stay the same, and some stocks are going to implode. And the same concept is true with real estate. But I feel like since we've been sold this dream of real estate being the most amazing investment, the perfect investment, when it doesn't go perfect, we're like, you did something wrong. Even if you didn't do something wrong. So, I mean, that kind of speaks to some other topics and other situations, but
expecting to always win sets you up for failure.
Yep.
If people can have that just in case, or not even just in case, when this goes wrong, I think people are a lot more likely to keep going instead of stopping just when they prepare for that. What I realized where people stop at are a few things. One, they're not prepared for how hard it's going to be. Two, they don't have somebody on top of them. So when people have accountability, their likelihood of succeeding drastically increases. And I don't mean 5 people who have never completed anything getting together. That's not accountability. That's hope. But forced paid accountability, the likelihood to follow through drastically increases. People spend too much time on social media and not in the game. Get in the game. Get in the game, because people just show the highlights. Of course, it's sales, it's promotion, it's marketing. Then you're not prepared because, this is work. Yeah. Passive income. First of all, passive income can make you fat.
And lazy.
Passive income can take the edge off, bro. 100%. You could lose your grind with too much passive income. I know it sounds crazy, but you could lose your competitive edge. But it's a delayed thing. It's not an overnight thing. It's a delayed thing. So once people prepare And perfection is a myth. Perfection is a myth. Perfection is a lot of ego. Perfection is a lot of ego. And the thing about perfection is no one knows it's not perfect but you. You're the only one who knows and who cares. People just want professional. They don't know what perfect is. So yeah, I have a few theories on that whole concept. I've been getting into a lot of personal development coaching and consulting because I realize people need to adjust the way they think more. People aren't challenged on their thought processes enough. And then the ego steps in, and then they think that they don't need any help because this is who I am. This is what I've always done. When in the same sentence, you aren't happy with your earnings. So once we can dismantle the ego and create new processes and new ways of thinking, everything can increase.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think one thing about Dre, I don't know why he thinks this way. He's always thought this way. But he's a contrarian. I wouldn't call it a contrarian, but you just think different than a lot of people, which has allowed you to achieve success. And one thing that you said that kind of resonated with me, and I mean, even so, like one of the reasons why I kind of took a step back is because things started to slow down.
Yeah.
But I feel like one of the things that kind of messed me up is when I took a step back, I kind of lost momentum.
Yeah.
And so I think what's interesting about that is the same thing is true where I was talking about, like with real estate or the stock market, like there's going to be up and down years, but you can't stop just because it's not the same as it was when it was amazing. Because then you lose that momentum. And so then when you get that next upswing, now you're fighting uphill instead of being on the hill.
Now you're fighting. So you don't go back to level, you go to the bottom. So you got to get back to level, then get back to top. Where even if you would have fell off and stayed level, it's easier to get to level to the top.
Yep.
Now I'm with you.
So that's why we out here, man. I'm trying to drop a episode every single night. Got one last night solo. I'm learning there's a lot of value in solo YouTube content.
Yeah, that's most of my content. Yeah.
Like, for a few reasons. One reason is you always got you.
You always got you.
You always got you. You might not always have a guest, but you always got you.
You know you got you.
And so there's always something to talk about, and then people get a chance to kind of connect with you, resonate with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you can drop it whenever, man. So it's like late night, early morning, whenever, get that content off.
Cell phone, computer, loud, on the way to work, lunchtime. Yep. Just something. Because here's something else I realized is you never know what would resonate with people. I've had some things that I thought people would connect with that didn't, and some things I was shocked at that sold. Shocked. Like, you want this? Like, yeah. Like, all right. You never know. You never know. But you do know this. If it ain't out there, no one's learning, no one's watching, no one's buying.
That's one of the interesting things that I realize at InvestFest every time is I ran into somebody who was like, man, I used to listen to you when I was working at Chipotle. And I was like, that's crazy, because when I go to InvestFest, I'm never really thinking about the podcast. I'm never really thinking about like the blog that I had and that kind of stuff.
Oh, the blog.
Yeah, I'm mostly just thinking about just like options course, options community. But like there's things that people they hinge on, like, and if you don't give it to them, they're like, man, like I need that. Because your perspective is different than other people's. Like your opinion, your articulation, your experience, your background, your location, where you are is going to resonate different than the other content creators that are out there. And there's a lot of content creators that are out there, but there's not a lot of yous that are out there.
There's no use.
And so you got to leverage the you. But another reason why I kind of also am making sure that I lean back onto this is because when you get in that firm, you realize like these motherfuckers don't know who I am. Like, what's interesting about working in corporate is everybody's in competition with you, but they're in competition to stay at the bottom. So like a lot of people, like I remember when I first came into the firm, there was somebody who they did motion writing and they wanted to dominate motion writing. They didn't want to allow you to get into their niche. I was like, cool, have your niche. There's somebody else who handled like independent medical examinations and they wanted to do that. And these are both things that I used to do when I was at the firm, because I went back to the same firm. So I worked from the firm from 2018 to 2022 or 2018 to 2020. I left from 2020 to 2022 and I went right back to the same firm.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right, cool. I don't want what you do. I'm going to do my own thing. I don't want to compete. I don't want to take your spot. That's your spot. They happen to also be African-American people. I was like, I don't want your spot. I want you to have that spot. Dominate that spot. Kill that spot, fam. And then new spots opened up for me. And so it's like, instead of like competing with them at that level, I rose to a different level. And so I think that like, that's kind of like the thought is greatness is going to be great, man. You don't got to take nobody's spot. You don't got to compete for nobody's spot. You don't got to edge nobody out. Like, greatness is greatness. And so that kind of goes to what I was talking about in terms of like putting yourself out there, promoting yourself, sharing yourself, creating that brand.
Did you get the same salary that you had when you left?
No, I get paid more.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. So when I came back, when I went back to the firm, I went back into my old role. I worked in that role for like this long and I got a promotion. And then like a few months after that, I got another promotion. A few months after that, I got another promotion. A few months after that, I got another promotion. And so like I've gotten like 3 or 4 promotions in the last year that I've been there. And so now I lead a team. Nice. And so I lead a team that handles its own cases. I do the majority of the delegating now. So I don't do a lot of the heavy lifting anymore. When I left, I was in the trenches. Now I'm like assigning tasks, making sure tasks gets done. And so I don't know how that happened. Maybe it's the business. I don't know, but successful people are going to be successful. But yeah.
I love it. Good stuff. Good stuff, Bill.
But that's not the goal. The goal is to own a firm and have Todd Capital Law or Todd Law, whatever I decide to call this firm. But really the goal is to shape and mold my son into this. And I feel like that's the craziest hack for all of us who are out here doing things, whether it's building your own business, in a professional career. I believe that successful people are professionals and entrepreneurs. So like a lot of people, when I say I went back to the job, I didn't go back to a job, I went back to a profession. Mm-hmm. And so like, that's a little bit different than like, oh, I went back and I work at Quiznos, or I went back and I'm whatever. Like I went back to a profession because I was those things before I even hopped into entrepreneurship full time. And so like, it's truly a cheat code with these kids, man. Like, you build something, they're standing on top of that foundation. They have those connections. They know the Andres. They know the Hartzogs, all those know their kids as well. So it's like we're really out here creating like an empire. And it's not just an empire amongst ourselves. It's an empire amongst our community and our network that our kids get to benefit from. So like that's really the focus and the win.
I love it. I love it.
Notary business, you ain't stopped, man.
No, people still call.
Notary business is recession proof.
I was watching, I was watching a very popular sister on Instagram, light skin, Aqua. I can't pronounce her name. And she was talking about, she was posting a video how a lot of Black founders are going out of business. Number one, I think a lot of Black people, maybe people in general, have too big of egos when they don't have money. I think money is the barrier. You don't have money, get a job. Get a job. Just go. Hop in Lyft. 4 hours a day, $100. People have too big egos, Charles. The ego is that there's no pride in being broke, fam. Get in the car, Uber Eats, get a job, like whatever. The 24 hours in the day, you can still hustle on the side. And I think getting a job sometimes makes people a better entrepreneur because now they want to get out of the job. So now they're going to work harder on their business. Mm-hmm. So that's something. And people get into stuff that feels good. I get it. It's cool to feel good. It's cool to have fun. But with that stuff, it's just a much higher rate of sink and swim. My man, Gene. So Gene was one of my students. He's 30 now. He was in the Army, Navy when he started. He retired from the Navy at 26, 24, whatever. He made $1,000 the past 2 days doing fingerprints. People need fingerprints for their jobs, for their gun license, for their liquor license. So when people hear me talk about the same stuff over and over again, it's because I'm pragmatic. I didn't realize what that word meant, but when I realized what it meant, I said, "Oh yeah, that's me." I just do stuff. I try to stay in the realm of stuff that makes sense because I always want to try to get paid. Like just put it plainly. And service-based businesses, are they get rich businesses? Sometimes, but a cool 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 a month, that's really a lot. All that people need if they manage, save, invest, buy some stocks, buy some options, max out a IRA, and
I think the people that I admire the most are the people who have businesses that are thriving in this economic climate.
Yeah.
And so I see people like you still promoting your what you have going on, and it's successful. I see the Hartzogs cleaning is never gonna not. You still, whether you got money, you don't got money, you're still getting dirty. So you're gonna need somebody to clean that mess. And then I also see Steven Story, who has his
he's probably doing better now,
insurance adjusting business.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, speaking on diversity, like you also got to diversify your businesses. Like you can't just have a business that only thrives in one economic climate.
Bingo.
You got to have a business that's going to thrive in the best of times. You might need to have another business going to thrive in the worst of times.
I'm gonna take Steven's class next week.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna get my insurance license.
Like it's interesting. Like a crisis happens and their business explodes. Like God bless everybody and protect them, but I mean, to see a business thriving in this environment where he's posting people with testimonials like, man, I just got booked up for 7 days, 12-hour days, and I'm gonna make $3,500 this week. Like, that's cool to see.
In life, there's stubborn ego where you don't quit, then there's pivoting. I think there's a difference with the quitter in my eyes is so much, so everything gets hard at a certain point. The quitter in my eyes are people who quit at that point with whatever they do. It's the job, it's school, it's business, it's trade school, it's notary, whatever. The pivot, someone like you, okay, this isn't fulfilling. I'm not making what I must make. I got a bomb degree. I can go make, I don't know, whatever you make, 100, 200, 300 a year. Let me just go do that and regroup. Pivot. But the quitter is somebody who habitually quits when it gets hard. That's dangerous. That's somebody who will never hit a level of success until they fix that thing. Oh, I'm bored now. Well, everything is boring. They lied to you about the whole, if you love it, it doesn't feel like work. It might feel like less of work, but it still feels like work. So,
ain't nothing wrong with some work.
Fam, do what you got to do to get where you got to get. Life has ups and downs. Life has cycles. Do what you got to, and kill the ego. The thing about Lyft and Uber and these things, you get paid the same day.
Yeah.
You can have no money. Let's say that sales are slow and you got to run ads in your service-based business, course, whatever. You can have no money and get in your car for 2 hours, have $50. There goes your ads money.
Yep.
You up.
I
can't do that.
When you said quitting, I feel like the worst thing you can do is do nothing.
That's the absolute worst thing you could do is do nothing. The absolute.
So like, I remember there was times when I was doing Uber.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was doing Uber, and you know what I was doing while I was doing Uber? I was listening to podcasts.
Bingo.
And I was in the car so much, I was just learning a bunch. I would listen to nothing but real estate podcasts, EYL. I was just binging content.
Yeah.
And then I ended up delivering an order that's in the neighborhood that I live in now that I didn't even know existed.
See that?
because in Southern California, like finding a new home at a good price is rare.
Gotta be crazy. In
And
Orlando.
this was kind of off the beaten path a little bit. It's not off the beaten path no more. It's very built up around here, and it's only getting more built up. But I
Mhm.
wouldn't have found it if I wasn't doing something.
You kept this. You kept the show in motion. How's your house value? Out of curiosity.
So the neighbor across the street just sold their house. I think they listed it at like 799.
Oh, they 800. Wow.
We paid 550. So
Damn. Okay. So let's even say they get 750. That's at least 200,000 in
this was
equity.
at least 200 in equity.
Damn.
So I'm okay with that. We've only lived there for like 3.5 years.
Yeah, that's $50,000, $75,000 ish a year just to live there. I call that a win.
Yeah.
And you got it at a good rate because you got 2020. So interest rates were what, 3?
Yeah, our interest rate is like, I think, high 2s. Yeah, so we're not going anywhere. And the crazy part about it is, like, in California, rent is doing nothing but going up.
Everywhere. Yeah,
So
right.
just the mere fact that we're able to stabilize our housing expense is a win.
Yeah.
Just the mere fact that we can pay what we're paying, never have to like worry about getting the letter at the end of the year. Oh, we're raising it this much, blah, blah, blah. I remember before we bought, like a lot of people in California, what they do, and I've seen this in Texas as well, like they'll move in somewhere, live there for a year, next year they're moving again, next year they're moving again, next year they're moving again. And so we were kind of in that phase, like all through my life, like from college on. From college, it was like, all right, we're living here this year, we're living here next year, living here this year. So like just having that stability of not having to move and uproot your whole family is a win as well.
It's a win, dude.
And I mean, I think the values are only going to go higher. It's ultimately going to be $1 million property. But we put a significant down payment on it. So like we have a good amount of equity.
Okay, good for you. Yeah. Buy the ugly house, fam. Buy the new house. Buy the house. Buy the house. I hardly ever, once in a while I do, but I've hardly ever hear someone say that I wish I never bought a home.
But like the gym though is driving Uber got me the equity.
Driving Uber got you the equity.
Driving Uber found me the opportunity. Doing something gets you the opportunity. My mom
do something.
Just got hired as a professor, teaching accounting and tax.
Ooh.
And I like what she did because what she did is all the things that she's done has put her in position to get these opportunities. And so she just said yes. And so like the real key is say yes to everything. Say yes to everything. You never know what's going to come from that yes.
Get out of the house. Get in front of people.
Yep. And so she was on the board for Cal CPA. That exposed her to people who work for RCC in these different colleges in the area, and they saw her as a leader. They said, "Hey, come interview for this position." They interviewed her. They brought her in just as like an adjunct professor. Then she went on campus recently. They brought her in and they hired her full time as a professor.
Really?
Wow. So she still has her tax business.
Damn.
And now she's teaching full time and getting paid pretty well to do that, all because she said yes and she just showed up. So it's like showing up to stuff, saying yes, getting active. Like the real key is
driving Uber.
Don't do nothing. Don't do nothing. Do anything but nothing. Like that's the thing is like I didn't like pivot out of the business or pivot into nothing. I pivoted into something else and I found success there. And I showed up there and I worked my ass off there and I added value there and I over delivered there and I said yes to everything there. So like I think that that's really the gem and that's really the thought of this whole process. Don't do nothing. No matter what the economy is, don't do nothing. That's the worst thing you could do is nothing.
Keep it going. Keep it going. You'll feel better. You'll feel better about yourself as well. And the thing with profits is just because something isn't as profitable as it once was, it doesn't mean it's still not profitable.
True.
I want people to keep that in mind. Just because it's not what it once was, it doesn't mean that it's still not profitable. And let life shift around. So this isn't the time of life to be ignorantly stubborn. Oh, I'm gonna die on this hill. Well, maybe you don't need to. maybe that's not the best option. Let's just throw things out there and get some perspective. The 50-50 debates. The fifth. So I did some numbers. I did some calculating. I know very few single people, and I was wondering this. So let's say that a woman's paying $4,000 a month to live on her own, which is kind of the number, right? $2,000 in rent, $2,500 in rent if it's a nice spot. If it's a decent spot, $25,000. Car, because women like new cars. I get it, or pre-owned cars because they want to feel safe and they want to be sexy. Food, student loans, credit cards. You're looking at about $4,000 a month to live. And I was thinking, okay, $4,000 a month to live on your own. 50-50 is not ideal. Okay, cool. But what if he pays $25,000 and you pay $15,000? You're saving $2,500 a month, which can go into a IRA, stock account, save up for an apartment building, use that money, go buy a 3-unit. Now you're making $6,000 a month over the money you saved. But there are still some women who say they would rather do it alone. And I say, what? How? Where does that make sense? And look, I didn't say 50-50. I'm more on 70-30, 65-35. But you paying $4,000 out of your pocket alone, you paying $15,000, and you got a boo. Isn't that progress, bro?
I feel like the problem is we have people teaching their peers. And so like a lot of women and a lot of dudes determine their values and their outlook on life based on what's being promoted by other people, not based off of what's coming from a source of wisdom, grandma, whoever. It's just like, well, I heard this girl say this and I like the way that sounded, so that's my new core value system. I believe in 100-100. I don't believe in 50-50. I don't believe in 100-0. I believe let's go get this together and let's get it done and let's see how much we can do together. And so like I feel like that's the issue. The issue is we're not entertaining the third option. It's either 50-50 or 100-0, but why isn't we never discuss let's go all in this together?
Let's go all in together.
Here's what I got. Here's what you got. What can we do together? How big can we go together? And so it can kind of get like frustrating because it's like this stalemate. I understand why women wouldn't want 50-50. And I think it's because they feel like they're not getting all of that guy. And so that's why I don't necessarily, my argument isn't 50-50. I'm not somebody who's saying, oh, well, since I don't believe in 100-0, that means I'm 50-50. No, that means there's another alternative out there that might work that I think would make sense. And I think nobody feels like they're being taken advantage of. Nobody feels like they're taking an L, and you get to build a beautiful life together where you're fully committed to somebody. And so I feel like the conversation is frustrating because we have a culture where people aren't really looking to do for anybody else. And a lot of people they're not looking to do for anybody else because it's a scarcity mentality. It's a poverty mentality. A lot of people were coming from nothing. And so they're looking to see how much they can get from somebody else without having to give up anything of themselves. They're only thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about the other person, what they might need, what they might want, what they might aspire to. It's just like, well, this is what I want, and I got to get it from somewhere, and I got to hold on to everything that I have. But there's so much more blessing in giving and sharing and contributing than there is just holding on to everything you have and expecting. And if that weren't true, then people who were looking for the 0-100 relationships would have an abundance of relationships. But if you were to do a poll of all these women who are in successful relationships, I guarantee you it's not the 100-0 that you see. And if you were to look at the women who are in relationship, out of relationship, in relationship, out of relationship, is probably the people who are looking to contribute and add value to nothing, because a man can't attach to that. A man can't find value in that.
And just statistically speaking, maybe on a good day, 15% of men can afford it. Maybe 15%. I'm going just data here. I'm not even going black, white, like 15% on a good day. So out of 100 people at the club, 100 dudes at the club, 15 of them can cover 100%. So the data is just not there. So, and look,
what's
I get
the odds of that dude who can do that choosing you and only you?
that goes down more percentage. So it's a discussion that's tired and old, and people look, take the excess money, invest it, and the dividend should be paying your mortgage in 7 years. The Airbnb income, the whatever income, that invest that money, have that money covered, then everyone's happy. Then everybody's happy. But I would rather do it on my own. That ain't it, bro. That ain't it, man. With inflation, with robots taking people's jobs, like this is not the time for us to be having silly conversations. We need practicality. We need, you look good enough for me, I look good enough for you, you're honest enough. Let's get together and let's go make this work. We need practicality. We don't even need love right now.
I had this thought. It might have been this morning, but I feel like a part of the reason why there's a lot of struggle between like black men and black women is because racism now is invisible. People don't think it exists. When our grandparents were older, it was in your face, and you knew how granddaddy had it difficult. You knew that he wasn't treated how he's supposed to be treated. He wasn't getting the opportunity he's supposed to be getting, and they still loved him regardless. But now there's a lot of black men who are experiencing these situations, but people don't really recognize it. And so they're just like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just go out there and make 150K? Like, anybody can make 150K.
About 11% of people do it in the world. So no, everybody can't.
But that's the thing, is like they're not looking at the system. They're just blaming the individual, and they're deeming him less of a person. And I'm not a person who leans on these things. Like, I wasn't raised that way. But we can't expect the masses to be exceptional all the time. We can't always expect to be the exception to the rule and then only date the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
Your husband might only make $75,000. Y'all can figure out a way to grow it. Y'all can build some stuff, but don't just discount him because he doesn't make six figures. Like, I don't know. I was gonna ask you, what are your thoughts on the Pop the Balloon show?
Yeah. Very what's going on in the dating world. So I'm talking in generalities here. So in general, African American women, looks are the most important to them than any other demographic of woman. And not just racial, cultural. So black woman in Africa, black woman in Jamaica, Bahamas, whatever, a man's looks are less important than African American women. That's one. It proves the 80-20 rule, that 80% of the women want 20% of the guys. A lot of women are not really looking for, from the way they are picking, they aren't really looking for husbands. They're looking for who they find the most attractive, the majority of the times. But it's a great case study. It's a phenomenal case study. When they dismissed the guy because of his outfit was too tight, who has friggin' 4 jobs, a lake house, 29 children's author in a lake house and a professor. Shout out to my strippers. Man, I love them strippers. He got a stripper with a 2-year-old or a 6-month-old. You remember how old the kid was?
2 years old.
It's a 2-year-old. Who she's fine, by the way. It's interesting. It is interesting, bro. Yeah, but it's very. This is the world. This is the world we're living in.
I like watching it because I think it's like you get people online and they're like, man, I'm single, I can't find nobody. And then you go see them reject people who are quality options. That's the most amusing thing to me. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, there's options that are there for you, and you're like, nah, I don't want that good option. I want nothing. The best ones are when the girls are on the panel, because the guys are more understanding. The guys, they'll take anything. A girl come up there, she's like, yeah, I'm a receptionist. And then none of the dudes will pop. If a dude came up there and he was like, yeah, I'm a receptionist, they'd be like, pop, 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 pop. So the dudes are more understanding. The only time they reject a chick is when she got kids. So when she says she got kids, it's like pop, 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 pop.
Multiple kids is a lot for a lot of the guys. Yeah, multiple kids is a lot for the guy. But society tells men where we rank, right? A society will let you know one way or the other where you rank. Men have a bit of a sliding scale because you don't have to be the finest guy to get the finest woman, but that's for a different day. Society doesn't often tell women where they rank. They tell them everyone's beautiful. Ashley Dalton. Yeah, ever watched Ashley Dalton? She's big on TikTok.
I might have run across her.
Pretty shapely lady. She tells women, be careful with getting a bunch of tattoos. And a lot of women who go on her show, they go there for advice, looks advice, they want a better quality man, etc. But every once in a while they have like the bull ring thing. And she tells them, the lady who was on there, she said that men sexualize her a lot. And she said, well, you have to change your look. And the bull ring, she goes, you're like, well, I'm not getting rid of the bull ring. So you're letting a bull ring keep you from being with a man? I'm not dropping that. And now if it's us and we have something that's prohibiting us or reducing our chance for a quality woman, we would drop it. Because you know what? The woman's 9 times out of 10 more important than the type of shirt we're wearing or the sneaker. Like, fucking sneakers. I need the chick, man. It's cold in this house. A lot of sisters have big egos, bro. A lot of sisters have big egos.
I think part of it is you have women who are raised by single women who are out there trying to find somebody.
That's most of it. A lot of women haven't been taught how to find a husband
or shown what is required to keep one, maintain that relationship. It's like you have women being taught by women who have never successfully had a man keep them. Like, anybody can get chosen, but can you get kept? Anybody can go on a few dates, get hollered at. But how long can you maintain that relationship? Are you interesting? Are you anything other than just looking good? Are you anything other than your butt? Like, somebody on Twitter said, a lot of women's personality these days is just their butt.
Literally. And I'm a person who appreciates a woman's body. It's everywhere. Everywhere. I never thought that woman being so naked would be so normalized. It's literally every. I'm like, damn, this isn't. How come men aren't trying harder? Because I saw everything, fam. We haven't even. I saw it. They're in there, everything. We're living in interesting times, brother. We're living in interesting times.
I just want to see how it pans out. That's like, I hear people come online and they share their opinions on what they think marriage is, a relationship is, and who should pay for what and do for what. I'm just like, I just want to see how it plays out. like when I was younger and people disagree with what I thought and did and viewed, it's like I'm gonna see how it plays out. I'm gonna do it my way. You can do it your way.
And
We'll just see what it looks like in 10 years.
and if we look back for most of the things, you were usually right. you were usually right. It's yeah. Whew.
Kanye said that something about I say a lot of things and people don't think it's right, but I'm right. I'm just not right now. Just
Bingo.
not right now.
Bingo.
So we'll see how it plays out.
Mhm.
But it's good talking to you, brother. It's
Good talking to
getting
you
late over
too,
here, but
man.
it's been late where you are. But you know,
2 a.m.
I gotta wake up and drive somewhere. You get to wake up and what do you gotta do?
I got a meeting in the morning.
Go to the
Hit the gym, meeting in the morning. Hoping it goes well. If it goes well, this should be a pretty big deal. Then start notarizing, make some cold calls, get some new clients. I have a one-on-one coaching call in the evening. Guests appearing in Julian Gordon's webinar. Yeah, baby. We on it, brother.
Julian Gordon's still killing it, man. Shout out to Julian Gordon.
Still killing it.
One of the realest.
One of the best.
One of the smartest brothers I know.
We made $200,000 together on a webinar.
Nice.
All right, Billy, let's do every day.
Every day.
Every day, Billy.
All right, brother.